All right, so quick question. How many of y'all have experienced depression before? By a show of hands. I'm hoping that everyone raised their hands. And if they haven't, I have to meet them immediately because you have a superpower that I need. No, I'm playing. I was interviewed a couple of days ago by an individual by the name of Lydia. Lydia runs a podcast entitled Rise and Wake Up. Lydia interviewed me about mental health, specifically about depression. And it was a real brief interview. It was no more than 6 minutes, but I do feel like the interview was quite helpful and quite meaningful at that. So I'm going to go ahead and play this interview real quick. It's a quick sound bite, and we'll come back right after.
So one of the reasons why I'm having you here on today is because we want to talk about the subject on depression. What does depression mean to you?
So I'm more of the glass half full type of person. I'm more of an optimist than pessimist. So I don't know, I believe I have a balance of both, but for the most part, I'm optimistic. I look at depression as a tool, something that can lead you to higher levels in life to get you in certain places. I think depression at times can be a test to how much you really want something. And that's just to sum it up. I can go forever about that, but I know we're on time restraints. So, but that's kind of my definition. That's how I view depression right now.
Do you ever feel depressed?
Yeah, plenty of times. Well, no, not plenty of times. I don't say normally.
Okay.
Yeah.
And can you tell us what goes on in your mind when you do feel that way?
Yeah. For the most part, my primary feeling is, or primary thought is, am I doing enough? And that normally occurs after I've done a whole lot. I've noticed in my field, my most cherishable thing is completion, and I love knowing that I completed something. But the problem is, once it is completed, I'm kind of left with the question of what's next. And when that happens, that's when I get kind of lost, and I just remain kind of idle for a second, like I'm not moving. And it normally occurs when I have nothing to do at the moment. So yeah, those are the. Let me see. A memorable moment where I was actually depressed was after I completed my first series of 100 Strangers, which is where I was traveling all over the country, meeting random people and taking their picture and interviewing them. After I completed the 100, I had my first solo exhibition of the project, and I shot a documentary for it. It was a success. A lot of people attended, and after the show, I just remember going home. Maybe a couple of days after that, I was like, man, okay, like what's next? You know what I'm saying? Like what am I gonna do next? And because I didn't know at that moment, I kind of fell into like a depression. And yeah, so that's pretty much.
So when you feel depressed, do you think it affects your body?
Um, that really depends. I think it can affect my body, but for the most part, because I'm aware of that, because I'm aware of like the effects of the body when it comes to depression, I try my best to do constructive things, productive things. So if I feel like really down, I'll go outside and run, or go hit the gym, or read, or write, something like that. And that's why I say depression could be used as a tool, because I can do it the other way around, right? Like I can fall into a depression and say, just don't feel like doing anything, and then eat food until I can't move anymore, or go out and complain, or watch things that's gonna, like, pretty much things that aren't really mentally nutritional per se. So it's all about how you use it, really. But I do believe that it can um, have an effect on the body, a positive or a negative effect, depending on how you use it.
Wow, that's amazing. Because actually, you kind of answered the last question that I was going to give you, which is it hard sometimes getting out of bed? And you did, elaborate on that. So that's real good. So again, we appreciate you taking out the time on your busy day to talk about depression, and please let everybody know again about your podcast and how to get, be able to tune into it.
For sure, for sure. Again, the name of the podcast is the Everyday Stranger Podcast. It's available on iTunes, Spotify, Spreaker, Google, all of those main outlets. All you got to do is type it in and you'll find it. Again, it's basically just my chronicles of the strangers that I meet on the street. A lot of them decide they choose to volunteer and be a part of the podcast. So I set up and I interview them. So you'll see you hear a lot of sound bites of strangers as well. So.
Well, it was nice having you. Thank you so much for being on our show.
Well, thank you.
All right, so that was the interview with Lydia from Rise and Wake Up podcast featuring myself. I want to give a special shout out to Lydia for allowing me to be a part of her show. You can see more of her podcasts on Facebook and YouTube under Rise and Wake Up podcast. And this is pretty much it's going to probably be my shortest episode. I honestly just wanted to share that soundbite with y'all real quick because again, I know I'm not the only person who has depression, and you shouldn't feel that way either. So okay, y'all, till next time, this is Alonzo Williams, and this is the Everyday Stranger podcast. I'll check y'all later. Y'all have a good week. Peace.